In the early 2000s, I started my master's program. It was a Master's of Science in Organization Development in Pepperdine University, which I am guessing right now, Pepperdine does not have the mounds of snow and icicles that we have here. It's in Malibu, California. And through that program, I learned about organization development and change management. And one of the tools that we used was particularly interesting that I thought I'd share with you today, just a piece of it. And it's something called Appreciative Inquiry. And if you look at the word appreciative or appreciate, it's really to find the best, to look for the strengths, to find the possibilities. And of course, inquiry means to discover, to explore, to search. And so appreciative inquiry is an approach to change management when you're working with a team or a relationship or a system that looks for what's working well. And why is it working well? What makes it work well? And then explores how do we do more of this? As opposed to a more traditional approach, which might be a problem-solving approach where it's what's not working? What's the problem? And indeed, the theory says that what you search for is what you find. And this is, the model was designed by David Cooperrider. And if you think about it, when you are looking on Google and doing a search for, why is there conflict on my team? You're going to find articles about conflict and toxins and negativity. If you search for what are the characteristics of the strongest, highest performing teams, you're going to find different results, probably about communication and healthy dialogue and how to listen and ask questions. And when I've been working a lot lately with organizations who come to me with, typically it's an issue with a team. And it's either one of two things. It's either that the team is newly forming and they want it to get off on a great start, or the team has been together for a while and they're having conflict and negativity and they're not performing well. And one of the first things that we do is go in and do a team assessment, where I'll identify some questions and I'll have the sponsor, we'll work together on that, and then I'll go and interview the individuals on the team. And when you are taking an appreciative inquiry approach, the questions are focused around, what does this team look like when it is humming? When it's in the flow, when it's performing well? What do you want more of? What do you love about working on this team? As opposed to looking at it from a deficit approach, a problem-solving approach, where it's what's not working, what's frustrating, what's hard, what are the obstacles. And if you are, and then what we do from there is I'll take the themes that I heard from all of the interviews and put together an assessment, a team assessment, and then we'll design a retreat based around those themes. And the results are incredible. The teams leave the day feeling more connected, feeling more vulnerable, there's more trust. They expose some of the frustrations and things that aren't working, but they're able to do it in a way that feels safe, where they can explore it instead of feeling defensive and angry. And part of that is because of this appreciative inquiry approach which I take. And there's there's steps and a whole model and lots if you want to look into this and dig deeper. If you search for David Cooperrider and Appreciative Inquiry, there's a lot out there. It's a fascinating approach. But I want to give you just a practical example on how you might use this. Let's say you are a manager and you have an employee that comes to you and says, I am really frustrated with Joe. He miss the deadline again. And then when he finally met the deadline, the work was low quality. You could tell he just pulled it together, and it seems like his focus is elsewhere, that he's not really putting in the effort. As a manager, there might be a draw to saying, well, that sounds frustrating, and then digging into the details and trying to figure out so you can problem solve. Well, when was he supposed to get that report to you? And what would the report have looked like if you were happy with it? And how long has this been going on? And sort of this digging into what's the problem, what's not working, what are you frustrated with? And when you step in to a mindset of using an appreciative inquiry approach, and again, this is all about building your core, right? Thoughtfully fit, there's the core. You pause, think, and act. So in that moment, when somebody comes in and says, I'm so frustrated, take a breath. Pause. Think. How can I best coach this employee? How can I best serve this employee right now? What is my role? Ideally, I'm biased. You get to the place where you realize your role is not to fix the problem, to jump in, to save that person, to go and to say, well, let me go and talk to Joe, I think that was the name I used, and see if I can't get him to, buck up and to get his reports done on time and to not miss the deadlines. And then the manager, you go talk to Joe, and then Joe's upset and defensive and says, well, the reason I didn't, and all of a sudden now you go back to this, and you've got this triangulation and negativity and distrust growing. So you can instead pause and think in the moment, what does this person need? How can I best support them? And you may at that moment decide to use an appreciative inquiry approach, and you act from that place of strength space, of possibility, of what's working, and saying, so it sounds really frustrating. What does it look like when you and Joe are on the same page and communicating well? Oh, well, we used to, and here's what it looks like. Okay, so what is it that you like about Joe? What is he doing right? What's working in your relationship? What's making that work? Okay, how do you want to get more of that? And so it's looking at it through the lens of possibility, of a strengths-based approach, instead of a deficit approach and what's not working. And it can help to create some new awareness for your employees and also build some positivity, because when they leave, instead of that first example where I laid it out, where now the monkey's on your back and you have to go and talk to Joe and then talk to them and you're exhausted, instead, the monkey stays right there on their back. You don't take the problem on. And instead of that person feeling defensive and the conflict increasing, that person leaves feeling more inspired. Like, Joe and I used to work well together. And you know what's changed? Here's what's changed. When he took on that additional assignment, I feel like I'm second fiddle. I wonder if he's overworked. I wonder if he's feeling pulled in two directions. I wonder if he's maybe needing to work with his supervisor and project manager to prioritize. And there's a bit more empathy, and there's a bit more positivity and possibility. So when that person leaves, they can take their steps forward in that relationship, and you are not now in the middle of it and creating this drama cycle. And it's a way to help that system, that team, that relationship focus on what's working and how do we get more of that. So today I encourage you to think about how might you pause and think in the moment, whether it's with an employee, maybe you're not a manager, maybe you're a colleague, maybe you're a parent. Maybe you're helping your elderly parents. Whatever it might be, I want you to think about the type of questions that you're asking yourself and that you're asking others. And how might you shift from a deficit approach from what's not working, what's the problem, what's hard about this, to an appreciative inquiry approach? What does it look like when this system is working well? What do you notice are the strengths? And how can you build and get more of that? And if you do, give it a try. Let me know how it goes. You can use it anywhere. That's the cool thing. And you can go in deeper and use the entire model. But today, that's your challenge for your Thoughtfully Fit Thursday, for your workout, is to go and give that a try and let me know how it goes. And if anybody's looking for a deeper dive on how to use coaching skills as a manager, I have my next 2-day course coming up. It's open to the public. It's at UW Milwaukee, February 27th and 28th. Fabulous, phenomenal program. 2 days on how to take a coach approach to managing. And we have, oh my gosh, employees and directors and managers and leaders come from all sorts of companies, from Harley Davidson and SC Johnson, and from small companies and nonprofits and state government and local government, to learn how to bring coaching skills into the workplace. It's research driven. It's very practical, so you leave with immediate skills that you can take. And the registration, I can add the link in the comments, but if you search UW Milwaukee Coach Approach Darcy Loma, you'll get it. And that's February 27th and 28th. So would love to see you there if that sounds intriguing to you. Thanks everybody for joining me. Wherever you are, enjoy the snow if you are there. And if you are in California or somewhere sunny, enjoy the sunshine.